Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Pizza at the Pagoda. My name is Chris Graham. We got a packed house here tonight. Ben Carswell, Christian Jasper, James Watson, Jason Owens, Mike McCullen. Six. Yeah, six. I can count. Six voices you're going to get to hear on the podcast tonight. Wrapping up a pretty darn spectacular week at Gateway, at least once they decided to start racing anyway at Gateway and quit wrecking each other. We'll start things off, as always, with Mr. Ben Carswell. What are you drinking tonight, brother?
I am drinking a Pagoda Amber Ale.
A what?
An Abita, an Amber Ale. It's a New Orleans brewing company. I'm fancy.
Just wait till we get to Mike. Christian, what is sitting in front of you?
I had to go mild today. Just drinking some Bengal spice tea.
I don't think I've ever tried that. Add it
Give
to
it a
the
shot.
list.
It's not
Add
bad.
it to the list of things to try. James Watson, you're drinking and driving at the moment. What are you drinking while driving pretend race cars?
Vodka. No, I'm playing just a little bit of Mountain Dew Cold Red.
I haven't tried that one either. Give me the OG. Jason, what do you have in front of you?
I have a Kroger lemon seltzer water.
I was about to say, if Kroger's making beer, I might be down to try one, if only one of them. Something has to kill me, and it might as well be Cheap Swill from Kroger. Like, what? Mr. Wine and Cheese, what do you have in front of you?
I'm drinking something very appropriate for wine and cheese. A Cronenberg 1664 left over from my weekend of watching Le Mans.
Yes, we're going to talk a little bit about Le Mans, too, I think.
The finest French beer. It's actually crappy. I think Jason's called it French Coors Light.
Sounds about right. I'm not far off, though. I got a Busch beer in front of me. None of that latte shit, though.
Oh, bless.
We drink the good stuff, man. High test.
You want to get some Busch Apple?
No, don't fruit the beer. You get a Hoegaarden because it's a great beer. You don't need to fruit it. That's the closest I think we've had to a food discussion on the show called Pizza. we may need to rectify that. All right, boys. The Bomarito Auto Group 500 Worldwide Technology Raceway, the artist formerly known as Gateway. Joseph Newgarden, your race winner. Pato Award, second. Will Power rounding out the podium. And oh my goodness, is calling it a shit show inappropriate?
No, I think I used that a number of times while watching the race.
Yeah, I think that's the general opinion. It was kind of a shit show.
I'd call it a dumpster fire, but that's insulting to dumpster fires.
Yeah, especially the first third of the race. And not just the racing or the race itself, but hopefully we'll get to talk about it, but the stewardship and race administration was piss poor as well.
They exist?
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
We're back to it. Man, that only took us like 90 seconds to get our first allegedly into the show. Recapping here. Caution number 1 from lap 3 to lap 14 for contact between the 15 and 18 in turn 2. Contact between car 4 and car 20 on the back straightaway. 2 separate wrecks, 12 laps lost. Caution number 2, lap 17. So we got a whole 3 laps under the green flag before we did 4 more under yellow for Jacques Debris. And I believe that the Pagenaud incident. Caution number 3, lap 21 to lap 25 for a light malfunction. 4 laps to clear a debris caution, 5 laps for a light malfunction. IndyCar, that one's on you too. Then they settled in, got 26 laps in the books until we did another 8 laps for Ed Carpenter's accident in turn number 4. Back to yellow from 65 to 75 for a 3-car incident in turn 1 that had major championship implications. And the 6th caution flag of the night from lap 201 to 209 for Alexander Rossi. Once we got past lap 75, I have to say the racing was pretty darn good. It just seemed like everybody had their head up their ass.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like they still had that summer vacation rust on.
Do we owe Nashville an apology at this point?
No, Nashville
Yes.
is still a
Absolutely
dumpster
not.
fire.
No, we do not.
No, and I want to specifically talk about that because there is a common theme between all of those restart nonsense incidents that happened at Worldwide Tech and Nashville. And it is the individual who was leading in about 70% of those restarts that packed up the field. IndyCar has to do something about that, and they cannot allow Herta to run the classic willpower, I'm going to bunch up and pack up the field maneuver, because it's destroyed close to a dozen cars in 2 races by not enforcing some sort of restart standard.
Yeah, it's sort of the age-old discussion, though, isn't it? Of if you're the race leader, it's your prerogative to start any time from point A and point B on the racetrack.
I completely agree with the start part, but if you're going to back it down that far behind the pace car and not maintain pace car speed, there needs to be something done about it.
Yeah, I don't know why the regulation isn't once the pace car leaves, you keep going pace car speed and then go when you feel like going, as
Exactly.
opposed to cause it, because the guys at the front can kind of figure it out. The guys in the back all get screwed.
Yeah, Sebastian Bourdais been a launching pad several times this season because of it.
He really has.
I am almost afraid to see what happens to Bourdais next season returning to Foyt if RHR is not in the car for Andretti, because the cartoon anvil's going to someone, and it looks like Bourdais is kind of likely candidate.
The thing with the consistency of this all being Herta is the dude got launched into a catch fence at Iowa last year on a botched restart that was slowed down. Then they waved off the restart, and the dude found himself into catch fence. Like,
And now he's the one doing it. He's like,
yeah, it's someone's gonna get hurt.
You became the very thing you meant to destroy.
Pretty much.
Is it a reasonable thing for Herta to do, though? And I will gladly take a little bit of a contrarian point here. If you're going to get away with it, if race control is going to do nothing about it, why wouldn't you take every opportunity possible to ensure you keep the lead that you work so hard to build?
100%. Of course you should. That's why I said it's a race administration issue.
Is that on Kyle Novak as race director? Is that on the stewards? Ultimately, and without having completely dissected the IndyCar Series rulebook, I don't know if the stewards are allowed to act without something referred to them. Like in F1, the stewards can't just go, that's wrong. Something has to be referred to the stewards first before they can do something about it. Should the stewarding process possibly change where the driver steward, because one of the 3 is always a semi-recent driver, should the, Max Pappas up there in the stewarding booth be able to go, nope, no good?
I think they need to give them clear direction via the rule book first that says, and the drivers even talked about this after Texas, that there's no explicit instructions on maintain speed or maintain X 0.3 second gap or maintain X number of feet gap. It doesn't exist. The drivers talked about it post the melee in Texas. So you would have thought IndyCar would think about doing something about it then, but
Nope,
they haven't.
It's in the rule book. I'm looking at.
You're looking at it now? Oh, that's even worse.
7.713. At the appropriate time, the pace car lights will be turned off, indicating the intent to restart the race. The leader is required to maintain the pace lap speed until reaching a point designated by IndyCar near the start-finish line where the leader shall accelerate smoothly back to racing speed and the green condition will then be declared. to the rule book.
So they're just not doing anything about it.
Enforce the fucking rules. Sorry.
Profanity is not a problem here. Let's kind of be honest here. They are watching the restarts. Takuma Sato was issued a penalty on lap 10 to yield track position for jumping a restart.
Somebody else got that as well. Somebody else besides Sato. Was it RHR or I forget who it was, but there was another car that got a penalty for going early.
Take a look. The only other penalties on the IndyCar official race results is the avoidable contact penalty to the 20 of Ed Carpenter and an unsafe release on the 51. That was a yield position penalty back to on lap 58.
Maybe I already had Jack Harvey in that car in my mind.
Yeah, that was that penalty, and I don't remember that one actually, but when that was issued to Grosjean. But ultimately, I guess that was when they were banging wheels coming out of the pits. But you can't, IndyCar can't have this double standard game, and I guess that's where the issue comes into play. You can't give Sato a penalty for jumping a restart when the reality is, did his speed change relative to himself? If Colton Hurd is going to stack the field up and Sato's running in 15th, he's right in the middle of the accordion. I don't know how you make that call to say, we've gone from this is a jump start, but the leader can back everybody up. I don't know how you score a jump start that way.
You make it up as you go along.
That's kind of what it seems like.
Yeah, you just gotta have a guy up there watching it who goes, wrong. That's really all you can do.
Isn't that Kyle Novak's job as race director?
I mean, they have onboard telemetry. NBC could tell you how fast Colton Herta is going at the beginning, at the restart. NBC could tell you. They have data upon data that can be like, hey, you didn't maintain pace car speed. Wave off the restart. You go to the back of the line and we try again.
Is that too stiff of a penalty? It'll definitely get their attention, that's for sure.
I mean, if that's the penalty going into the race and everybody knows it, I mean, I guess the alternative is like you wreck. I mean, how many millions of dollars worth of carbon fiber so far this year? Like, I don't know.
I'll play devil's advocate here again. Is there anything more hold your breath exciting than a restart in the IndyCar series right now?
Not when it's like this.
I don't think it's in a good way, though. You know, like it's not.
Yeah, it's in the thank God we have the aero screen so that an end plate doesn't smash somebody's helmet. Like,
No, it's
that kind of exciting right now.
But then we could just leave that end plate
at,
hanging around on the track.
Thank you, right? Like the thing came off. I don't know. I have this theory now that there is decision fatigue in race stewardship at the top flight level in some motorsports because there's so many data sources between the 15 onboard cameras, the 15 cameras at the track, the telemetry they have access to, that sometimes they just can't see that there is a giant piece of debris on the track.
And that even kind of separate that out a little bit, though. Especially on the ovals, they have spotters, officials that are in radio communication with race control that are going, hey, there's a hunk of something out here. If the person misses it, the person misses it. However, I think that information overload, that maybe that is a realistic problem when you can't process that much data in one instance. So is it a matter of reducing the data, or do we possibly automate the officiating process?
I mean, you can for jump starts. That's what we've been talking about with track limits for a long time. That how hard is it for you to go to the problem areas? You put sensors down, you put sensors on the car, and if you trip it, that's a track limit violation. And then you have the telemetry on board. You have the automated timing and scoring. I mean, hell, we shut down the truck race for it because they didn't have timing and scoring. Even though all the lights were there, everything was there. If we don't have electricity to everything in the track, we can't run. So, I mean, that's the trucks. This is IndyCar. Supposed to be a little bit more high tech than the trucks. So why can't we map the telemetry to the start, and when we go, hey, this guy went before him, yield position. If he gained something, if he didn't, we go to his strategist or his engineer or whoever, and we go, hey, watch it. We saw that. Be careful. You do
Well,
it
okay.
again. You're getting into line.
So the example of Colton Herta, though, backing the speed up on the restart, should that be an automatic that is flagged electronically? Pace car speed is 75 miles per hour. If you decrease your speed as the leader, if your speed drops, I can see the formula in Excel in my head. If X less than 68, throw the flag.
Or if it's under pace car speed for duration, because things fluctuate. So if it's under for a sustained duration, or it doesn't average that you're at pace car speed or something, yeah, that should be an automatic, and they've got the technology to do it.
I think
If
I
you're
just
under
gave
pace
them
car
the
speed at
formula in
green,
Excel.
if you're under pace car speed when the green flag flies and you're the leader, wave it off or throw another yellow. Waving it off is a bad idea at that point. Throw another yellow, some type of penalty, and go back and do it again.
I think a
brings-
pretty easy penalty to serve is like F1 does its time penalties. I know that can be tough at ovals because it's such a things get packed up. You're not getting 5 seconds out like you would at a road course. But these are where the restarts are most dangerous is ovals and street courses because we were all boxed in. There's nowhere to go. So let's say you didn't maintain pace car speed until you accelerated, until you took the green. Next time you come into pit, it's 5 seconds. Or if you're not pitting again, it's 5 seconds on the end of your race. And you better drive like hell.
I think a time penalty may be more appropriate there, because going back to the discussion of the cautions, 5 laps because they forgot to turn off the caution lights. It's in that's part of the rule book, is that if the caution flag flies, there is basically they have to go a certain number of laps, because they sort of do the NASCAR pit rule of lead lap cars get to pit, lap down cars get to pit, plus you have to have the pack up lap, plus the lap coming back to green. So you're at least 4 laps to run a caution flag. You want to do that for every jump start? Hell, at a place like Road America, you're losing
daylight.
yeah. So I don't know that throw the caution and re-rack it is necessarily an option, but there has to be something somewhere that we can do.
Yeah, they have many options at their disposal to give penalties.
Do you think post-race data analysis would work better? Because with something like this, like as big of an issue as this has been in the past few races, Mugello, when F1 ran there, is the first thing that came to mind.
I think for consideration of rule changes, maybe. But I think it's a very bad idea to start saying to the fans, You watch this guy do donuts on the front stretch. You watch these three guys spray champagne on the podium. Two of those three are now 15th and 16th. You can't undo the moment. And a big part of that that we sort of have to put in the back of our heads is the Indianapolis 500. There's no way you can tell the fan who wakes up on Monday morning and looks at ESPN and it says winner DQ'd at Indy. That's not, it's not front page news on ESPN the next morning. So the winner of the 500 has to go to victory lane. Your running order has to be as close to official as possible as soon as that last car crosses.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing that like NASCAR was doing with like, oh, we won't take the win away, we'll just encumber the win. Like it's the whole thing that NASCAR did, and I don't think we necessarily want to be emulating. And they don't even do that anymore. They will take a win away post race.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole idea of data analysis is a little. I think it's great
No,
for
I
rule
think
making, but
right. You should. They need to do some data analysis. Holy crap! Are you sure this is seltzer water? God. They need to do the data analysis now through the end of the season. They need to include an update to the rule book and say this is the process. This is what the penalty is going to be. We will adjudicate it live during the race, and then they need to have a system where they do that, or not, or just let it be the open wheel version of boys have at, right?
which I'm not totally against, other than issue of potentially flying race cars, which that's sort of where I draw the line of this can't happen. There's some things that you look at in the sport and you say this shouldn't happen.
Mhm.
A fluke part breaking. Colton Herta talking about a part that he possibly mileaged out or something like that. That's a fluke. Should that happen? No. But it does. That's what makes it a sport. It's why you don't run the race on paper. At the same
Well,
time, there are
that's
certain
why
things
Hinch
that
went to the
can't
hospital.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, they almost killed a James Hinchcliffe because of a part mileaging out. So there are certain things that, so that's what I'm saying. Certain things can't happen. You can't have flying race cars. You can't have a flagman almost getting run over to wave the checkered flag because it looks cool.
I never understood why they continued to do that at that race, bro.
To be fair, that race rarely finishes close at the line. Usually the gaps are big enough that that's never going to happen, or rarely happen.
Well, I mean, can we pivot, speaking about Le Mans, to the fact that Sophia Flores absolutely got her car destroyed twice by people that were in over their heads, and like because she had gone upside down and backwards into a camera stand, just kind of shook it off and then calmly called pits on the in-car phone. Like
That had
that's
me
nerves
tripping.
of steel.
Yes.
That had me tripping.
That young woman
She
is a
is-
badass.
Yes, badass is 100% way to describe her. That had surgery on her back after going airborne and backwards through a camera stand, broke her
Cockpit
back,
first.
had surgery, and was racing the next year and is now racing prototypes. And that team isn't bad. I think they finished 10th last year. They're not bad. But she got absolutely destroyed. And I kind of get the initial impact with the G Drive car. It was wet. It was, I think, heading into the Porsche curves. Yeah, mistakes happened there. But the 74 plowing into her while she was off the racing line, not even on the racing line, off the racing line, is
Attempting to pass in a slow zone, like they should have gotten parked for that.
Yeah, they got 10 seconds. You want to talk about weird stewarding? 10 seconds. And that 26 lived to kill Jan Magnussen, too. Like, that G drive was a wrecking ball.
How about JPM going all jet dryer on the Triple Crown and saying because he won the Pro-Am, he's now a Triple Crown winner?
Oh,
What
we
did
had
he
this
finish?
discussion.
15th overall? That good enough. I won the Pro-Am. You didn't even win LMP2.
He
The
had
Grand
this
Duke of
exact
Austria won the
discussion.
LMP2.
I asked you guys, I said, here we go. Should a Le Mans win that isn't overall count?
No.
And one of you jumped in and said, no, it won't count. But if JPM gets a class win, he'll immediately go, I won the Triple Crown. And he did.
He
Exactly.
didn't even win the class. He won Pro-Am.
It's so ridiculous, too. He's like, oh, I won this. I won that. You're Juan Pablo Montoya. Of course you won Pro-Am.
He put out a press release.
He really?
Oh, my God.
You know what?
Can we talk about how much he hates Schumacher, that he's literally shoving his son into F1 to go beat Mick?
He is not.
Oh, his son's an Italian F4.
Oh, man.
And he was like, well, he'll be there racing Mick soon. Like, let it go. I love Juan Pablo. He's awesome.
Yes. I'm trying to wrap my head around, if I'm going to be Mr. Devil's Advocate tonight, I'm trying to wrap my head around how I could spin Montoya claiming a victory in something and then claiming a Triple Crown because of it. I got nothing.
You want to hear my antagonistic hot take about the Triple Crown?
Yes.
Go for it.
All right. All the old Triple Crown winners, aka Graham Hill, and all the people who've done like 2 legs of the Triple Crown, especially in the 30s and 40s and 50s, and even up to the 70s to a degree, is way less impressive than Alonso and JPM doing it. Doing 2 legs and 2.5 or whatever Montoya did. Because the cars are so much more specialized and the racing is so much more different, completely different now. Like Graham Hill essentially could have taken the same car with minor modifications to Le Mans, Monaco, and Indy. Like, it's not that different. And then Montoya goes out there in some whacked out LMP2 in whatever class he won, whatever made up wet class or ACO class they have. He wins Monaco in a 2000 Williams F1 car, wins Indy twice in 2 different eras, in totally different cars. Alonso wins Le Mans twice, wins WEC overall in an LMP1 car, and 2 F1 championships plus Monaco, in is we all consider to be one of the best eras of F1.
Fair.
In terms of
Alonso
cars.
had no competition.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
The only competition Alonso had was Toyota's reliability record in LMP1. That's it. That's all he had, and the 7 car that Toyota kept nerfing for 2 years.
At least they finally won. But hey, guys, you have to hear. So this is translated from Marca Motor, but the direct quote from Montoya. For me, it is the Triple Crown. Whoever likes it well, and whoever doesn't like it too. We went and we ran the same 24 hours as everyone else, and we won the race. No
You
matter
finished
what.
16th!
Well, okay. Let's ignoring the silliness of I won a Pro-Am class. Should a GT win count? If you win GTE Pro or whatever the hell they're calling it now, should that count as the Triple Crown?
No.
Oh,
Overall or
No,
nothing.
no. However,
It has more credibility than
it
winning
has
the
more
Pro-Am.
credibility.
I mean, does that Montoya gets laughed at. Does a GT class win get you an asterisk?
I think it gets you an asterisk. That you can claim the Triple Crown, but you won it with a class you didn't win the
It's the
overall
little
race.
fluff that goes inside the
Still
crown.
got the Rolex, bud.
Yeah, still
It
got the
says
Rolex.
winner. It says I've got a trophy, a plaque, or whatever the hell they give you that says winner 24 Airs du Monde.
So, I mean, is this where we actually need to get Wes on the horn to come talk? They had some super silver or creepy copper or whatever FIA driver designation that, like, the guy's actually a retired pro driver, but he qualified as an AM for some reason on the team.
Well, so in their team, Dragon Speed, you had Ben Hanley, Juan Pablo Montoya, and Heinrich Hedman. And Heinrich Hedman doesn't even have a Wikipedia page.
Do you want to hear about one of the other cars in LMP2 Pro-Am was the Inter-Europol
Polish bakery car.
The Polish bakery car, and I love them. It was the son of the CEO, some sports car racer, and Alex Brundle.
That's
What
not
is
about as
that?
pro-am as you get.
That's what Montoya was doing. You're racing the son of a baker.
So you have
It's not
no
like-
idea who his teammate is here.
I have no idea who the third one is.
Heinrich Hedman to the Googles.
You are the son of a motherless goat.
Doesn't he have a biography?
No, he
Still
does.
rich kid with cake money. And you're claiming that you won Le Mans.
Like, yeah, you won Le Mans against a bunch of rich dentists. Like, you didn't.
Oh,
This would be like winning a class at the Indianapolis 500 that was solely constituted by 8 Dr. Jack Millers.
I mean, speaking of, let's preview. Let's give the 30-second preview of next week's show. We'll be out at the Road to Indy weekend at New Jersey Motorsports Park, where there will be another reference to Dr. Jack Miller. 2 weeks in a row, we will get the racing dentist on the podcast, or at least his name brought up on the podcast. That's spectacular. Yeah, you don't want to miss that one. All right, let's shift gears a little bit here because we've been ranting for almost a half hour already. At one point in this race, and this is deja vu throwbacks to Indianapolis, Alex Palou was looking okay. Championship was maybe sort of ish within reach. And then it happened. Renus VK getting into Palou and Scott Dixon. And buddy, we've got I don't know what, maybe 5-car championship run over the last 3 weeks of the season.
Easily.
I kept waiting for him to replay that wreck with the incoming torpedo noise and explosion. They had to do that on the broadcast, and they missed the opportunity.
Yeah, we're looking at a now truly, I would think, potentially 5-car battle for the championship. New points leader coming out of Gateway, Pato O'Ward at 435 points. 10 back is going to be Alex Palou. My math skills stink, so I'm going to say 22 back, I believe, is Joseph Newgarden in third. Scott Dixon is the first driver below the 400-point mark, but he's only about 40 points out. Marcus Ericsson, a little closer to 60. Actually, I believe it is 60. Is it truly game on here? A 5-man fight over the last 3 races this
Allegedly.
season?
And we have some interesting races coming up too.
We really do.
I mean, we haven't been to Portland for a year, so I think guys, there are going to be guys who haven't seen Portland.
Who goes airborne through the first turn at Portland this year?
Can't be Marco.
Can't be Marco. Thank you.
That may actually have to be one of our picks of the week here. We'll add it to the anchovies and race winners. Is who goes flying through the chicane at turn 1 and actually flying. I'm assuming completely
Those-
airborne because that's the only way they're going to do
Sebastian Bourdais Concord Award.
it.
Oh man.
Are you looking up Henrik Edmund like I am?
No, I gave
I
up.
just
I
saw the
literally
picture
couldn't
you
find
put
him.
in of Hedmund.
Oh my goodness, the Sebastian Bourdais Concord Award.
Amazing.
I can get behind that.
So I'm actually looking to see what happened in 2019, and Willpower won. Rosenquist, Rossi, Berta, Newgarden were your top 5. Piggott, Pagano, Least, I forgot how to pronounce his name because I haven't thought about him until just now. Sebastian Bourdais and Charlie Kimball rounded out your top 10 2 years ago. So
Mateus laced with a top 10.
top
That
8. He finished 8th.
That race had to be weird. That was about the epitome of bad Foyt cars.
Yep. And then you had RHR, Harvey, Hinch, Daly, Veach, and Rahal all out with contact, and Ferrucci from a mechanical.
That sounds about more like it.
Yeah, that was a. I barely remember that race. I drank a lot.
It kind of
Oh.
felt like a fever dream.
You know what? Of late, it seems like you have to drink a lot to get through these IndyCar races. I don't know what the deal is with the drivers out there, but driving standards have not been real good. Race officiating standards have not been real good. Are we due for some sort of a let's not suck this weekend, guys?
Concerned. Yeah. go ahead.
I kind of feel like it's overdue. I don't think I am ever going to forget the last time they were at Fontana, the Mav TV 500. I
Yes.
think it was like what 2014, 2015.
2015.
15, yeah.
Oh yeah, Graham Rahal breaks a whole ass fuel pump. Oh, we just missed it, bro.
Yes, that was Ryan Briscoe's acrobatic show into the infield as well.
Yes.
That car dug a hole so big he could lay down in it.
Yeah, that was kind of. I don't know how I felt about that. That was creepy.
Well, it was something for sure. But looking ahead to Portland, though, I would imagine that we probably have some drivers that we go, you should be pretty good. We're back to a natural terrain road course ish. Not a ton of elevation change, but it's not a walled off street course. It's bad, fast, and quite frankly, one of my favorites to watch.
That chicane at 1-2-3 complex. That's going to be interesting.
I will forever also call it the GI Joes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Without question.
Yes, the GI Joe's 200. What are we thinking from a championship contender's perspective? Is this I have to survive to Long Beach? I mean, could we literally see bad racing out of this because the drivers are concerned about their championship position?
No, because that's 5 guys. The other guys are going for wins, and then you have the race for the last $1 million award down there at the 21, 22, 23 spot as well. So there's going to be plenty of good racing.
I don't think Pillow can afford to take it easy either. He's going to have to break out of that really comfortable stride he's been in where he's just taking it easy. He's going to have to actually be aggressive. Because last week, I mean, apart from Dixon being on the podium is the worst thing that could have happened. He got 10 points and his guy directly behind him, and the guy who's had probably the fastest car all year and has had terrible luck in Newgarden won. That was the worst result he could have had. He has to go out and get a good finish, like a podium or a win.
I agree. I think we're going to be seeing a new championship leader. If not after this race, it'll be switching up every race.
I agree.
Does Ganassi have the raw speed to just go out and try and win this year?
I don't think it's out of the question.
I mean, I think they do. It's just that was the
And I
first time
only
I've
asked
seen.
because Marshall Pruitt brought it up earlier this week that other than the last race he won, the last few weeks, the Chip Ganassi cars have not been. Even the win in Nashville wasn't. They were just going out there and outpacing everyone, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, clearly from a short run speed, Pato and the AMSP team has it figured out, right? But it's going to be interesting. What's the? I don't have the schedule in front of me. How many laps and what do the fuel windows look like?
It is. I
it's-
just had it. 110 laps. And probably 2 pit stops, maybe 3. Couldn't tell you exactly.
So the last race was 105, and the top 5 all 2 stopped it.
Well,
I
so
wonder
probably
if that's
2
the reason
stops.
for the extra 5 laps to bring in the 3-stop strategy.
You had a couple of guys
Might be.
3-stopping. Piggott did. I don't know how the hell Lice got it.
Mateus Lice did 4 stops
Yeah, he
and
did
finished 8th.
4
I think
days,
one of those was
3.
an extra stop off that first lap incident, though.
Yeah, that might have been.
Possibly. Max Chilton had 4. Tony Kanaan had 4. Marco Ed Jones had 5. Sato made 6. I Now obviously there were some contact issues there that's going to kind of spell certain doom for your race and whatnot. But I'm
It's going to be
Ray
interesting.
Rahal was a bit of a wrecking ball in that race too. He got a penalty where he took out the 7, the 5, and the 26.
I love the citation here on Wikipedia that says clarification needed, but it says Graham Rahal was given a time penalty to where instead of finishing behind cars 7, 5, and 26, who were terminally disabled behind him, he finished behind those cars instead. So that sentence makes no sense. But I like that was one of the craziest first turn. I mean, that was a pure arc brake turn.
He
On.
just drove right into him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
And then the 2018 race was the Marco gets airborne and Dixon sees his championship saved by friggin' Dixon magic.
Something I don't think we can discount about Portland is the fact that it is so ridiculously quick. It almost drives, at least from a car control standpoint, sort of like an oval, to the point that the race, the circuit, I should say, holds the all-time record for closest 2-car and 3-car finishes in series history on a road course. When Mark Blundell beat Gilles de Ferran by 0.027 seconds, and Raul Bozel was third in 0.055 seconds back, basically 3 wide across the line in 97.
That was a good race.
That race was fantastic. But my point is, this is not the kind of standard set them off into turn 1. Everybody's going to spread out, and we're going to see how strategy plays out and who goes into fuel saving. By extending the race to 110 laps, I think they force that 3-stop strategy to be the requirement. You're going to
I mean,
have
these
to
are
stop 3
sub.
times. You might as well go balls out for that at hole.
Yeah, I mean, these are sub-minute laps.
But with that, how many cautions do you think that they're gonna throw? Because Lord knows there's a high chance of something like that happening on lap one.
Last race in 2019, there were only 3 cautions. The caution from lap 1 to lap 11 for the dumpster fire. Second caution was from lap 14 to 16 for the RHR incident in turn 1. And then the third and final caution was from lap 98 to lap 100 for, 3 laps off course, 1 car on the front straightaway. Here, I would say maybe not a high likelihood of full course cautions.
I would like to see it.
Yeah, the series needs it right now. They need a good, clean, fun race to watch.
Especially with so much visibility on the season this year from people that have come over from NASCAR and from F1. I don't know how many like Reddit race threads I've seen where like IndyCar fans are apologizing, being like, it's not usually like this. They're much better.
Yeah.
They usually know what they're doing. And it's just a new track. They haven't done an over for a while. It's like we're rationalizing our old boomer parents' bad behavior. They just don't know any better. It's
But I mean,
need a good
it's
race just so
It's little brother syndrome.
The
I live in Indianapolis. We're very much well aware of little brother syndrome with Chicago nearby. It's classic.
we just need a good race so that the rest of the world thinks that we know what we're doing over here.
I mean, this is a 3 p.m. Eastern start time on the NBC mothership. About as close to prime time as auto racing is going to get outside of a, special event night race or something that's actually prime time. They need to not suck. The eyeballs, the views were way down on Gateway to the point that they're back to drawing less than a 1 share in the TV rating. Something has to change. I know they've just announced the new deal with NBC and all, but I don't know. You can't suck on network television.
Oh, you can, but it's gonna make a lot of people unhappy.
Yeah, a lot of make goods to your advertisers, which is never a good thing either. All right, boys, we've been at this for 45 minutes or so here. We do need, there is a couple of, well, I guess one kind of elephant in the room that we do need to address. And then we'll get to our picks and our anchovies and all that kind of fun stuff. Unfortunately, today we lost Robin Miller. And whether you liked him, loathed him, or whatever else in between, I don't think there's any way that you can deny that he was the dean of IndyCar journalism.
absolutely.
Yeah, it floored me because I saw the racer announcement saying the mailbag was going to be taking a break. I was like, oh man, that sucks. And then like an hour later, I saw the news. I said in our Discord is that I disagreed with almost everything Robin Miller ever said, but you knew that he loved IndyCar, he lived IndyCar, and as an IndyCar community, we're all better for him being a part of that community and sharing his love of it with the world. And it's tough. I mean, it's really tough. And me being a new fan, I still appreciate him. And I would read the mailbag every Wednesday and disagree and like yell. Like I'd read it when it first came out. Like I saw it and I wake up in the morning and I would like yell about it. Like, this guy is insane. My wife's like half asleep going, shut up, stop reading it. And it just, his take on IndyCar was one of the last real old school takes on IndyCar in mainstream racing. He'll be missed.
Yeah, he's in reading some of the pieces and in talking to some of the people that I know, it's almost comical to kind of read what the drivers were saying, and you see the statement that comes out and how much Robin's going to be missed. I guarantee you there is a group of current and former drivers throwing back a bunch of somethings in his honor. Robin didn't drink, so I don't know that he would be. He was not the guy to sit around and throw back 100 beers with the guys at night. Um, but there's definitely some snickerdoodles and Pepsi floating around Indianapolis. Uh, First time I met Robin was in the media center at Pocono, and we go in now. We're the new guys and we're locals, so we get the absolute worst seats in the press area, to the point that apparently nobody had occupied that area since IndyCar's return. We were the first local that wanted to show up to cover the race. Miller walks over to me, and his first thing he looks at me dead in the face. He goes, "Who the fuck are you?"
Amazing.
Good to see you too, bud. We chat for a little bit, and he's going, "Man, I know you're not that young, but man, young blood, that's cool. We need more of you guys." Mike Joachim from Pit Lane Parley. There were a handful of what he called younger guys that he just looked at it as, we need new blood. We have too many old white guys. We need young white guys to cover the sport too. And it was sort of surreal, because I'm telling you, my daughter's working with us. I've got a couple other people, and I said, I that was like my goal for the weekend, was to meet Robin Miller, just because the guy's been around forever. And I said, I want to be like you when I grow up. And he goes, "What, a degenerate gambler?" I said, I'm working on that one. To finish out the story, though, I'm shooting pictures of the starting grid. They're lined up right before "Gentlemen, Start Your Engine." And I'm kind of laying down deep, hoping I can get that like haze shot that comes off the ground, so everything just sort of blurs and haze. And he's out there. He had just finished the live hit for NBC, and he kind of like grabs me on the back of the shirt and he's, "Stand up, stand up." Okay. I stand up and just listen. Cars fire up. You hear the crowd roars, and he looks at me. "You have the best fucking job in the world." I went, "Yes, we do." Like, that was a moment. You're standing there on the grid going, "This is cool. This is everything we want." There are so many times that we can bitch and moan and complain and F Tony George and Cart sucks and everything else that's going on in this sport. We get to talk about something we love and someday maybe cash a paycheck.
It's the best.
Yes, it is. But with that, we do have a clip that we're going to play from the final episode of Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain, which was absolutely epic. But we're going to do that to close out the show here. It is time to review, in summary and summation, our picks from 1 week ago for the Bommarito Auto Group 500 at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Quick side note, give me your thoughts on this. Jonathan Bommarito gave the command after doing like a 70-second commercial for Bommarito Auto Group. Can we knock that off?
Hey, Worldwide Tech
Can
knows
we
what
not?
Bommarito Auto Growth means.
No sponsorships in the prayer and the command. How hard is it?
He did it at the truck race too. He just sat there and like started talking, and I was like, "What are you doing? Just give the command."
Like, 4 words. The 4 most famous words in motorsports, preceded by a 70-second commercial for Bommarito Auto Group.
I watched commercials for Bomberino Auto Group. I live in Virginia. Like, I saw them on TV. If I ever live in St. Louis and need a car, I'll probably go to them. Job. Let's go. What are we
Yes.
doing?
Yeah, we're not here for. We are bombarded with advertising in auto racing. We don't need one more.
Like, the command should be exciting. I've seen many terrible commands. I think the best one of recent memory, and I don't know if you guys saw this, Tyler Hoover of Hoovy's Garage YouTube channel, gave the command for the cup race at the Glen, and it just took it to 11, and it was fantastic.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Just-
Spice it up, live it up, but you don't need to advertise. I think the Big Machine Spike Coolers Grand Prix, same thing. It's like, come on, guys, your name's on the race. You don't need to advertise during the command too.
Yeah.
They got to sell the frozen popsicles too.
Ugh. Well, I hate big.
All right.
Give Taylor her masters.
Let's
Edit that
go
out.
back to picks here. Unfortunately, James Watson had to depart early here. So we'll crap on him first. He may be in contention for a win here. Looking at his loser of the race, he had Alexander Rossi, who came home P17. Rossi was dumb. That was definite big smooth move of the race contender by Alexander Rossi. I understand he was trying to get out of the pits as quickly as possible, making sure that he didn't lose ground, et cetera, et cetera. Dude, you can't bend the car that way.
Well, I mean, that team has precedent. RHR did it twice at Iowa, and he still had his job for a couple more years. So,
oh yeah, he's not going anywhere. Mike, just to piss James off, took Will Power, who came home with a solid third place finish. Well done, Mike, on your pick for the week. I had Marcus Ericsson. He finished in the 9th position. So still looks like James is the winner here because Christian, you are my hero, son. Joseph Newgarden as your pineapple of the week brings it home in victory lane.
I should do this more often.
I'm not. This is why I don't gamble. This is why I do not gamble.
Oh my God. Our level of suck is spectacular sometimes. Okay, going to our winners picks here. James had Will Power, who came home with a very solid third place finish, as already mentioned. Mike, well, here's where the wheels start to come off. You had a terrible week. Colton
I
Herta
did.
was your pick to win this weekend. He came home 18th.
He was until he broke a drive shaft.
Yeah, he looked good. He looked real good. Still,
Man.
Took a shit. Christian,
Oh my god.
so close and yet so far away. Pato O'Ward coming home second. For the first time in the history of the podcast, we picked a winner. I had Joseph Newgarden as your race winner last weekend. So I will gladly claim that W.
That only took 3 months.
Yeah. Most of us.
Can we just mention that we've been going for 45 minutes and we have not once talked about arguably the best story out of Gateway, Romain Grosjean.
Yeah, I thought about it earlier, but that dude passing people on the high side and the low side, like he had Harry Hogg in his ear telling him that he had a special set of match tires, was one of the best things I've ever seen.
My
Yeah,
man's looking like an IndyCar driver.
I was just gonna say that boy looks like he's at home.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to see him at IMS next year.
Can
you imagine
the 500?
Oh, dude, he's gonna do it. He looked hooked after that race, and after Jimmy tests at Homestead or wherever he said he's gonna. I think it changed. Can you imagine how big the headlines will be if we've got this awesome IndyCar field, all of these new teams that show up, and Jimmy Johnson and Romain Grosjean are entered for the Indy 500 in 2022?
I
That's
think
going to
it'll
be
be great.
stellar.
They need to not have half the race be under caution.
Well, tell Scott Dixon to save a little more fuel next time so they don't have to do emergency stop.
Yeah, that was actually Grosjean. The thought of him running the speedway sort of scares me because they talk about the fact that the drivers throughout history have talked about the fact that Indy picks winners. You have to go to the speedway with a certain amount of reverence of this place can kill me kind of attitude. We didn't see that on track out of Grosjean. We saw a whole lot of go, go, go. I can put my car anywhere I want. The issues that he had on cold tires, he's buried neck deep in the outside safer barrier in turn one if he tries some of that stuff.
Well, remember Alonso tried that too, and he lost it off the board going onto the rumble strips.
Yeah.
Like
But
that's just he'll have to learn it.
There's a reason why he wanted to do Gateway to his first oval, and he learned, one, what the oval tires feel like, two, that what racing on an oval in terms of being able to make passes. And yeah, he made rookie mistakes, but he didn't bury it in a wall like Rossi on cold tires. He didn't hit anyone. He got close. I think he bumped wheels with someone making a pass, but he did above and beyond what we would have expected from him. And, I think it's, hopefully there's enough races, ovals next year to, let him, keep working at it before Indy. But all right.
Do we think Texas is back or not? Because that's the real question. Because as of right now, the tentative schedule that we think will be the schedule next year, Indy's the first oval on the calendar.
And 2 Iowa races. There's another thing we didn't talk about. Iowa's back.
And we're all going.
We are all
us.
going.
I think Mike has a hotel. I
got
have
a hotel.
Jason has
I've got a camper rented.
Jason's got a camper. I think Wes was booking a hotel. I told my wife we're driving 16 and a half hours to Iowa. She just rolled her eyes at me and said, fine.
You know what? I lived, and I say right outside of Des Moines for almost 2.5 years. I still got a lot of friends and probably an open bar tab or two in Des Moines. That weekend gonna be a throwdown for sure.
As long as you don't say an open warrant.
I don't think there's any open warrants. I'm not totally sure about child support claims, so we'll just kind of leave that one lie. But yeah, that is a racetrack that IndyCar needs to be at.
Yes.
That is news that I
Without
am
a
fairly
doubt.
certain would have made Robin Miller smile when he heard that on Sunday. Because that is a place that it's in your target market. It provides for fantastic racing, and it's a great chance to kill 2 birds, 1 stone, doubleheader, do it Saturday night, Sunday afternoon, and really sell a weekend out.
And I'm going to get on my soapbox right here. They need to bring the full road to Indy. They need to have USF, BM. Well, next year it'll be the IP22 and the USF 22. They need to have the lights, and they need to go all out. And I'm channeling my inner Robin Miller here. They need to have asphalt sprints, and they need to have Silver Crown there on the weekend. And they just need to make an absolute lights out 6 different car classes on the track, action all day long, and just make it an extravaganza. They have to do that.
I don't disagree. A festival atmosphere is what that race needs. They tried for several years to sell that event as come to the IndyCar race, and we're going to schedule some other stuff around it. And they had the vintage cars and they, the oddball stuff. That needs to be truly a festival. I think next to last year I was there, they had Silver Crowns Indy Lights, and a concert by Lone Star.
Get out. That's why we don't have a Phoenix race anymore, because they tried to put IndyCar in. Like, it's the middle of nowhere. You go there, you have one practice mid-morning, you have a second practice or two in the afternoon, and you have literally nothing but wander around a blazing hot parking lot and drink. No, there needs to be on-track action all day long. Like, why do you think I love Music City GP so much? Like, literally from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. almost, and only on Sunday because the race went so long. But they had stuff on track all day long. They got to do that again in Iowa.
Yeah, I mean, that's the selling point for me when I tell people, hey, you've got to go check out a race. There's stuff the whole weekend, and that's such a hard sell with a lot of the ovals where it's you get IndyCar and you might get a truck race over the weekend. You might get an ARCA race. It's got to be the whole thing. It's the full IndyCar weekend is one of the best values in sports for your money.
NASCAR did that earlier this year, and it was a huge success. They did that doubleheader at Pocono with Xfinity, trucks, and ARCA, and they had like 400,000 people camp out over the weekend.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest crowds in Pennsylvania or something crazy.
Yes,
And
they
It was
rivaled.
huge success.
Yes, they surpassed Beaver Stadium, which is the home of the Penn State Nittany Lions. 107,000 strong in that building every Saturday. Pocono beat that by a very, very wide margin. But that's what they compete with when they're thinking about ticket sales. And that's the stuff that I just didn't get. You went to the last race at Pocono, the last two races, in fact. No support classes. They had the vintage cars.
Well, I mean, to be fair, there's not a lot you can put there. I mean, you get crowns or sprints, and unless you're bringing out ARCA or
You got to bring
given-
something. They
Yeah,
had
you gotta
they
bring
had
something.
Indy Lights the one year, and I think they had 7 show up.
It's a full field.
Well, it
yeah,
was.
at the time, yeah, it was pretty close to a full field. That's one of those deals that you have to find something.
I mean, you got to put like a little roval in there. Like, you have to figure out something that you can go, hey, I know it's not a big oval Pocono race, but look, they're running this whole corner of the track. They're running this.
You know
Well,
what?
the
turn
street's
3
wide
in an
enough, you
infield
can
oval.
put in a jumpy truck track, right?
They
Bring
actually
jumpy trucks to every race.
they ran a 5th mile at the end of the front, basically right at the end of pit road, where it's at its absolute widest. They put a 5th mile oval in there, and they ran like TQ midgets and a bunch of stuff like that. That was a pretty cool way to close out the evening. The problem was there was nobody there to see it by that point. They had all left. So I don't know if the answer is cut a couple of holes in the pit wall and run a modified race or something.
That'd be sweet.
I don't know. They used to do that years and years ago. They used to run a little 3/4 mile oval right on the front straightaway at Pocono.
Wait. Why don't they drag race on the front straight?
They've done that before.
That's what they should do. And funny, NHRA and IndyCar weekend. Oh, I fixed it. It's our time.
God almighty.
I have great ideas.
I don't know that was one of them, but we'll take it. We'll give it to you. Sure.
Imagine how gripped up the front stretch will be. It'll be awesome.
Yes, because that's exactly what they need on restarts. You can run into each other all you want. There's not a chance you're going to take off.
Be
All right.
glued to the track.
Yeah, I'm not even going near that one. All right, boys, let's make some picks here. I will go last since I won last week. Mike, you were pretty terrible last week. Kick us off here. Who is the big loser? Your anchovy of the week.
For what?
Portland.
One's in September. I gotta make my pick now?
Yes.
But next week is September.
All right, fine. It's in 2 weeks.
Yes, it's in,
All right.
Yes, it's in 2 weeks because next week is the Road to Indy show. All
right.
Road to Indy all the time.
Yeah, I don't know what day it is anymore. All right.
17 days, 15 hours,
Portland.
54 minutes, and 10 seconds
All right,
away.
Portland. I'm picking
What?
anchovies.
Yes.
All right. Let's see here. So many drivers to pick from. Who we got here? Oh, Simon Pagino. Why not?
Going out on a limb there that Pagano's streak of meh will continue. I will say, though, nice recovery drive after that to come back with an 8th place finish last week at Gateway. That could have been pretty disastrous.
Yeah, it's not hard when half the field's crashed.
Right?
Well, hey, he made it to
That's my
the end.
iRacing strategy.
He made it
Be
from
slow,
point A
run
to
around
point
the
B.
back.
Yes. Come home with a solid 8th place finish every week. That is exactly what the captain loves to see. Let's see. Christian, your pick for anchovy of the week was pretty terrible as well. So
Know
yeah,
how to pick.
you can go next. Who is the big loser this weekend? Or in a couple of weeks, whatever.
I think it's gonna be Polo.
Any reason?
So Pelo's definitely gonna win.
I think he's gonna get torpedoed.
Wouldn't be the first time. And who does Chip dismember if that happens? Are you willing to make a pick on the torpede? No, torpedo. Palou was the torpedo.
Dude. Sato.
That's good. That's a safe pick.
I say going
very
out on a
safe pick.
big limb there. Oh, that's awesome. Jason, you haven't been here for a while. We'll make you the FNG for the week. Who is your pick to be the pineapple of the week down there or up there, whatever, in Portland?
It'd be too easy to say Jimmy, right? So I'm gonna say that Rossi collects the anvil of shame again and has a terrible race.
Again, kind of chalk so far on the picks. Not with
Yeah,
Palou,
that's true.
but
Okay, hold up. Let me
no,
walk that back.
Nope. You've already called it.
Oh, jeez.
You're stuck here. So when Alexander Rossi gets a 30-second win, like we know he's perfectly capable of doing, we'll crap all over you too.
No, we know Power's going to walk away with this thing.
Ben, who's your pick? Who's going to suck next weird couple of weeks at Portland?
That's tough. I feel like picking an obvious one is kind of lame, but I'm gonna go with A-Hall. I think he does his usual poor start and then is unable to work his way back up and finishes in 15th.
Wow. Okay, we're gonna mark that one down because if you get that right, we'll send you something. My my pick for pineapple of the weekend. Ooh, man, gosh, there are so many contenders for this. I'm gonna say Renus VK. He's been, quite frankly, not good since his injury, and I wonder if he's not harboring some existing injury issues there. I don't know. Renus is definitely off the mark here at this point. Actually, the whole Carpenter team is off the mark at this point. Special picks of the week, and we'll do this one in top-down order, so start thinking here, Ben. The first Sebastian Bourdais Concord Award. That may have to get a graphic of some sort. Who is the driver most likely to be airborne this weekend?
All right. So I don't think this driver is going to get sent airborne. I think they're going to hit someone and go airborne. It's Sato. I'm doubling down on it.
So Sato ends up airborne in the wreck that takes out Graham Rahal.
Oh, Rossi. He's going to torpedo Rossi and go airborne.
Ah, okay.
Rahal will lose his
Poetic.
front wing and finish 15th.
That would be
It's
poetic.
Portland.
Christian, who's gonna join the Mile High Club?
I think Erickson is going to have a twofer.
Frequent flyer miles racking up for Marcus Erickson.
He needs to go and get his Southwest card.
That's outstanding. Jason, high flyer in Portland?
I'm gonna go Scotty Mac.
That was Indy, Jason.
Yes. I'm sticking with the theme. Like I clearly know what I'm.
Yes, yes, you do. All right, Mike. Who is it? Who's going to be higher than the crowd in Portland?
Well, because we've never picked him for anything, and he hasn't done anything all season, I figure I'll give a shout out to James Hinchcliffe, fly in the friendly skies.
Oh man,
That's who I had marked down as my pick for airborne guy of the weekend here. He won't be carrying those colors this weekend, but he's got a history with the Air Force. I think it might be Connor Daly. We haven't talked about him much this season either.
Except that he's probably out of a job.
It's kind of the most remarkable thing he's got going right now is being out of a job.
Yeah.
We'll
get to that one.
But doesn't that kind of like make him the Robin Miller of race car drivers, though? I mean, Robin famously joked that like he got fired from every job he ever had, right?
Yes.
So
he's eminently more likable than Robin was, though.
I don't know. I was kind of an incorrigible kid who grew up reading Robin in the print edition of the Star. So
yes, I am that crusty old fart. Miller's actually not that unlikable once you get past the fact that he just treated everybody like a shithead. But that was Miller. If he wasn't shitting on you, he didn't like you. All right, it is time to pick our winners. We'll start with Christian. Who takes home the roses in the G.I. Joe's 200?
I think it's going to be Dixon.
Not a bad chalk pick. Currently sitting 4th in points, and he does need to kind of get his act together if he's going to take title number 7. No better place than Portland. A lot of history at Portland, too, for Dick. Let's see. We'll go to Mike. Who do you got?
Marcus Erickson.
So we've got one. Christian has him joining the Mile High Club. You've got him winning the race.
No one says he can't do both.
You ain't wrong.
Quite true
you
there.
Ain't wrong.
Ben, who are you taking for your pick to win?
I'm going to go with Colton Herta. He's been fast there before, and he's been fast like every single race recently, but he's enough out of all of them. And I think he can change that. He can do it.
Because doggone it, people like me. Jason, who do you want for your race winner?
Oh, geez. Man, this is a tough one. I actually have been going back on like 3 or 4 different guys, but I'm going to say that, shit, I don't know. Who is it that's in fifth in points? It's Ericsson. Not
That's Ericsson. Yes, Marcus
Ericsson.
Ericsson.
I'm going to
is-
say, did somebody already pick Ericsson to win?
Yeah, I did.
yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Mike's got
Damn
him.
it. Then I'm going to say something crazy is going to happen, and Scott Dixon is going to be the only guy 2 pit stop race and is going to win on fuel mileage.
Well, that would be great, but Christian's already got him. So come up with something.
Sorry, I'm
else.
trying to do 3 things. Jeez. Let me guess. Somebody took willpower too.
No, you could be James Watson for the week.
Yeah, I'll be James Watson for the week.
Okay.
I thought somebody took power. That's why I didn't say power.
Will Power currently sitting 9th in points. He's got 315. He's 120 back. I think you're approaching mathematically out of the championship race, or at least very, very close to it.
There's 165 to go. So he'd have to max point all 3 of them to even have a shot.
Correct. Saying there's a chance. All right. I am going to take a guy that we have not mentioned his name hardly at all tonight, which quite frankly is a disservice to him, considering he's your points leader. Pato O'Ward, Arrow McLaren SP gets off the close enough is good enough shtick. He was, obviously very good at Gateway, but they have not had that race-winning field in quite a while. I think that changes in 2 weeks when they head to the Grand Prix of Portland on September 12th. That's going to wrap things up then for this edition of Pizza at the Pagoda. Coming up, next week's show will be all road to Indy all the time. We're going to have a bunch of us down here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. We'll actually have some driver interviews that we'll be bringing to you and a whole bunch of other stuff as well. So you don't want to miss that one for sure. The following week, after the Labor Day holiday weekend, we'll do the silly season show where we'll prognosticate and do our best attempt to set what the grid will look like for the 2022 season before we close out the year heading to the Grand Prix of Portland. Follow it up with the Firestone Grand Prix of Monterey at Laguna Seca. That one coming up on Sunday, September 19th. And the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach, September 26th, back to back on the West Coast to round out the season. But with that, we're going to wrap things up here. Say thank you, everybody, for listening and hanging out with us here. We really appreciate it. We're going to play the clip here now from Robin Miller and the final episode of Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain. 2.5 minutes or so of absolute comedy gold. Robin, thank you very much. Whether people loved you or hated you, job well done, sir. Rest easy, bud. But with that, we're out of here. Have a good night, everybody.
Guess what?
Don't start.
Let me tell you something. I'm gonna hit you in the nuts. Did you hit your head when you were bull riding? Yeehaw! How in the hell do you practice a monster truck? Would you fly with Jack Roush? I learned from the best how to be grumpy. Milk a who? I'm going Sizzler. What do I got to do? It's a Sunday night. It's a wind tunnel. After I get fired here, I'll need a job. What's wrong with me?
Miller, that's a great question. What is wrong with you?
Been hanging around racetracks all my life. No excuse.
Elaborate on that. We're in a reflective mood tonight. Tell us about the path that led you to this final episode of a canceled TV show.
Well, think about it. I've been watching racing for 50 years. I've been writing about it for 45. For the last 15, I've been on various television shows, even though I've got a face for radio. I got to drive midgets in USAC for 8 or 9 years. I got to be an Indy 500 pit crews. You don't have to tell me about how great my life has been. I understand when you can combine your job and your passion, it's very rare. But other than that, I think the other thing that's really been good about my life, the last 10 years here on Wind Tunnel, because you've given me a forum to help promote promising kids like A.J. Allmendinger, Danica Patrick, Kyle Larson, but also give me time to reminisce about my buddy Jim Hurtubise, Bentley Warren, and Andy Granatelli. Now, I can't read a teleprompter. We've been over that. But I appreciate you letting me share this desk, telling stories, pointing out the good, bad, and the ugly of racing. But I really feel bad for the fans of sports cars, midgets, sprints, dragsters, motorcycles, and Indy cars, because there's no more Wind Tunnel. It joins Motor Week Illustrated, Speed Week, RPM Tonight, and speed news in the television graveyard.
Graveyard Hell, that's the Racing TV Hall of Fame. One last thing, I can't imagine you showed up here after this cynical life without some hatred in your heart.
Got a lot of hate. I hate the way ABC ruins an IndyCar race. I hate Michael Waltrip's act. The fact that nobody recognizes Scott Dixon on the street. I hate spotters. I despise the talking heads in NASCAR that scream and rave about a driver that's 15th having a great run. I hate the fact USAC's still a well-kept secret. I hate saving fuel. I hate the fact Phoenix and Elkhart Lake aren't in IndyCar schedules. I really hate paddle shifters. I despise those 10-lap cautions for towing.
But let's not leave it on such a down note. It's our last show. There must be something you still love about racing.
Well, I love the Chili Bowl. I love having lunch with Koonsman, Poncho, Merle and Gary Benthausen, the Big Bopper, Bubby Jones, Steve Chassie, Bill Vukovich, hearing their lies every Friday. I love midgets and sprint cars on dirt cars. And most of all, I love calling Dan Gurney and Parnelli Jones in the middle of the day on a Tuesday just talking about the old days.
You know, Miller, I think actually your life turned out okay. Thank you for everything, and happy birthday, Parnelli Jones.
80 years young tomorrow, oldest 500 winner. Thanks, Rufus.